internet, sorry, is the new media. And it's interesting because anybody can involve themselves in the media online. It's not something that's, you know, just to people like me that have got money to print a newspaper or Conrad Black. Every single person here can now become the media if they want to. You can join all sorts of different forums. You can write a blog. You can create your own web page very easily these days. If you have the inclination, you can, you know, become your own media center, or, and sometimes this is more effective, join an existing group that already have a media network. You know, MedPot.net, for example. Cannabis Culture's got a very active online group of growers. It's wonderful to see how this media group, through their forums, has allowed people to exchange information and share stories about how they're growing and keep up to date on the newest technologies and things like that through this public media forum. And so this is new. I went to university 20 years ago. We didn't have anything like this going on. We didn't even send an email when we were in school, you know. And I graduated in '94, and so it's really exciting to have this new form of media available. But in a sense, it's so big. There's so many people that have access to it. I think again, you know, having a concrete publication to help, you know, kind of lead the way is going to be critical. And what we need to do ourselves, and we can use help with at times, and our webpage isn't there yet, is helping, and this is going to happen. The future of Cannabis Digest is really interesting because we want to network it up with you know, the online and other forms of media. For example, one of my friends, a member of the Buyers Club, Scott, is working hard to get a radio show down here at CFAX. So we're going to call that radio show the Cannabis Digest. We will broadcast it live on stream, and like other radio shows, we'll have all the past radio programs. Well, when we get our stuff together, we'll also do most of our live casting also off the Cannabis Digest. If we do it right, between our work here in Victoria and other places, we'll be having live, you know, streaming, you know, video or radio from media around not just Canada, but eventually around the world. And so certainly, you know, there, you know, could be easily a news program or two once a week. We could even just network with ones that are already existing. And the Cannabis Digest, in our hope, will become this, you know, very interactive, very current news medium. And this publication as well, we've got 10,000 coming now. Well, eventually I'm going to get the advertising so that we can have local print runs, and there'd be like, you know, local, national, and international advertisers. And instead of, say, printing 10,000 and shipping them, or 20,000 and shipping them across the country, I'd print 10,000 here and 10,000 in Toronto, and there'd be different news and different advertising rates even for smaller companies. But it makes no sense to print a newspaper here in Victoria and send it around the world. And so, again, eventually, you know, we hope to have the paper being printed in regions, not just throughout Canada, but throughout the United States. And the next step too is with blogs. We have several of our writers that are blogging now, and good bloggers, I think, are in some ways the journalists of the future, because in the past, good journalists were really passionate, intelligent people, and they would get hired by news companies, and they would be given a certain amount of freedom to do the stories that they wanted to. Well, the news media is being controlled more tightly all the time. There's less room or less opportunity for journalists to work as newspaper companies are being bought up in larger and larger groups. So, you know, you have companies like CanWest Global working out of Winnipeg who really have a small number of writers compared to what they used to have, because they're just printing you know, the same story across the country at times. Whereas you know, there's blogging online is an opportunity for people to find a niche market in some ways for advertisers that go with those web pages, and the listeners as well, because it's very difficult with print and to a point with radio and television to make a connection between the person that wants to, absorb what you have to offer, the material, whether it's a sale or whether it's, some information, to people. It's really hard to make that connection, which is why the internet's so great. And people like Diane Walsh, who's our writer on hemp in the newspaper, are able to write blogs that really, summarize what they want without the limits of print.
You want some of this?
Sorry. Thanks. Yeah, print is very limiting in the information that you can provide, but with the blogs, you can add endless numbers of pictures, you can add video, you can, there's no limit in your word count. And so what we hope to do in our newspaper is, print it, 4 times, maybe eventually 6 times a year, maybe once a month, but it wouldn't matter how often it was printed, there's still news and information that's coming that could only be made accessible through the internet. And I really think that this work online is going to continue to be critical. And it has been already making a difference. It's been interesting every time Obama, for example, puts up I forget what he calls it, but sort of open forum online where he says, if you have questions or things I should deal with, tell me what it is, we'll prioritize it. Well, every time he does one of these things, cannabis ends up being like 7 of the top 10 issues that the country says it needs to deal with. And we've done a great job from the very beginning, taking advantage of what the internet has to offer to connect, people to the information. Again, with growers as well. It's been just amazing to see the opportunities that have come up from the internet. And I really think that the internet is the media form that's going to continue to push this over the edge and organize us. Just like it's organized the spring in the Middle East, or all the uprisings there, and it's being so integral in the Occupy Wall Street protests around the world. That wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the internet. And I really think that the cannabis movement can learn from what's happening there and continue to build upon it, to network, to organize, to get the information out there. And there is no easier way for most people to become involved as both a consumer and an activist. This is a very interesting plant. There's some really interesting people out there working with it. And having the internet as a form of media to make those connections is just invaluable. But I don't think we can rely just on that. And so I encourage people to persist with writing letters to editors. If you see a bad news story on TV, don't be afraid to call up the television station managers and let them know that you had a problem with it. We need to engage in the media, inform them in every way possible, because being in the closet just isn't going to make the changes that we need. So I'll just again make another apology for Dave Bratzer, the Victorian police officer, not being here. I'm quite sure he will be here in 2 weeks' time. So we're really looking forward to that, obviously. And next week is reading week, so there won't be a lecture here. But,
is he active police officer?
Yeah, he's part of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, and he's running for the school board to replace the DARE program. So his election is the vote a few days after he's going to be here, and we're really wishing him the best. He's an awesome man. Yeah, again, I'll leave my stuff out here for a minute or two. It's raining outside, so we won't be able to have it out there. But thanks again, everybody, for coming. Have a great day. And so,
All right. Thank you.